Um, so it's been a minute, and I want to welcome you. I think I'm live. Yeah, I am. I want to welcome you, and I've got a printout so I don't get off base, but um, this is my new series. Hold on, somebody's telling me they can't see. Hold on. Um, uh, I guess I, don't know, I should give it a minute and see if it's actually working or not. Um, Since I have one viewer, I wonder if that's just me. Um, well, who's viewing? Oops. Um, oh, there she is. Okay, now I know I'm being seen. Alright. Hi, Tori. Okay, so my new series is called The Comeback Project Finding Myself Again. And this episode 1 is going to be called Guard Your Heart. There's going to be a series of episodes over the span of however long it takes to help people, I guess, get better, heal, whatever. Yes, I can see the messages. So, here we go. Hi, friends, and welcome to the very first episode of The Comeback Project Finding Myself Again. Whether you've been following me for years or you're brand new here, I'm so glad you're joining me. Before we get started, I want to tell my newer friends about something I used to do called Sparkle Challenge. Every video had something sparkly in it. Sometimes it was my fingernails, sometimes a coffee mug, my earrings, which I do have sparkly earrings on, lip gloss, something that caught light. And people used to ask me why I always had something sparkly. And the answer was always the same. It was never really about glitter. It was about reminding people that no matter what life throws at us, we're still called to let the light of Jesus shine through us. Jesus tells us in Matthew 5:16, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." That's always been my heart. Well, not always. When I was a drug addict, it wasn't, but it is now. So, the sparkle was never about drawing attention to me. It was about pointing people to Him. Somewhere along the way, I stopped doing those videos. Honestly, I don't even know why. Life got busy, seasons changed, and before I knew it, the Sparkle Challenge had quietly faded away. But over the last couple weeks, I felt God nudging me to bring them back, because this isn't the time to lose our sparkle. If anything, it's the time we need His light the most, when life gets hard. We don't stop shining, we just shine differently. But if we hide our light every time our hearts are broken, people may miss seeing what Jesus can do in the middle of our pain. So every episode of the Comeback Project is going to begin with sparkle. Today's sparkle is my butterfly shirt. It's very, very sparkly. And my sparkly earrings. But ignore the earrings. Mostly it's about the shirt. So, the butterfly wasn't chosen by accident. Butterflies represent new beginnings, hope, and transformation. They remind me that God is always in the business of making something beautiful out of something that once seemed broken. The butterfly also reminds me of 2 tattoos that have become even more meaningful during this season of my life. I have my faith tattoo, and my grace with my butterfly. These 2 words have carried me through the last couple weeks. Grace reminds me to be patient with myself, because healing isn't neat and it certainly isn't fast. Some days I feel strong, and other days I still cry. Both are okay. Faith reminds me that I don't have all the answers, and I don't have to. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, and I don't know what God's final plan is, but I know the one who does. My faith isn't in my circumstances. It's in the God who has promised never to leave me or forsake me. If God can transform a caterpillar into a butterfly, he can certainly transform a broken heart into something beautiful. That's my prayer. Not just for me, but for every person watching, the one whole person watching. I'm just glad you're there, so at least somebody's watching. For every person watching who feels like life has fallen apart. For those of you who don't know my story, on July 5th, the man I loved chose to end our relationship. As I'm recording this, it's been a little over 2 weeks. I'm not where I want to be yet, but thank God I'm not where I was on July 5th either. There's been a lot of crying, a lot of praying, a lot of questions, and a lot of leaning into God. I went back and forth about making this video because part of me wanted to just grieve privately or with my friends that have been helping me through this. But the more I prayed, the more I felt God reminding me that he never wastes our pain when we're willing to place it in his hands. If my journey, my crazy journey, can encourage even one person who's walking through heartbreak, loss, divorce, or disappointment, then maybe this difficult season can become part of someone else's healing too. Before we go any further, though, I want to make something very clear. This series is not about attacking Colin. It isn't about making him the villain or convincing anyone to take sides. The truth is, I still love him. I still care deeply about him, and I sincerely pray that God blesses his life. He made a decision that he believed was right for him, and while it wasn't the decision I wanted, I choose to respect it. The series isn't about changing his story. It's about allowing God to change mine. I'm also not here because I have all the answers. I'm not a therapist, and I'm certainly not an expert on healing. I'm simply a woman who loves Jesus, whose heart has been broken, and who wants to invite you to walk this journey with me. We'll laugh together, probably cry together. We'll open God's Word together, and my prayer is that every week we'll leave a little stronger than we were the week before. Today's lesson is called Guard Your Heart. Over the last 2 weeks, I've learned that healing doesn't happen by accident. It happens one choice, one prayer, one boundary, and one day at a time. I don't have this mastered, but I do believe God has already been teaching me some things that I wish someone had told me the very first day my heart was broken. So if you're walking through heartbreak today, I hope you'll grab a cup of coffee, or right now, not coffee, I don't know, grab something, some water, some milk. I said milk weird. Did I say milk weird? I think I did. Anyway, yeah, I lost myself with milk. Oh, there it is. Take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's see what God wants to teach all of us. One of the first things I've learned is that heartbreak has a way of making us question everything. We replay conversations over and over in our minds. We wonder what we could have said differently, what we should have done differently, or how we could have made the other person stay. It's almost like our minds become detectives searching for one clue we somehow missed. There is value in reflecting on a relationship. In fact, I think it's healthy to ask God to show us where we can grow. If someone tells us something about ourselves, we should pray about it and honestly ask, Lord, is there truth in this? Is there something you want me to learn? That's how we become better people. But there's a difference between healthy reflection and unhealthy condemnation. Reflection says, Lord, help me grow. Condemnation says, everything was my fault. Those are not the same. Just because someone says something about you doesn't automatically make it true. It may have been their experience. It may have been their perception. It may even be exactly how they felt. But our identity is never determined by another person's opinion. Our identity is found in Christ. That's one of the reasons I've spent so much time in Philippians 4:8, where Paul tells us to think about whatever is true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, and admirable. I noticed something in that verse that really spoke to me. He starts with the word true. After heartbreak, our emotions get really loud. They tell us we're not enough. that we'll never be loved again, or that somehow we failed. But feelings aren't always facts. As Christians, we have to learn to measure our thoughts against God's truth instead of letting our emotions become our truth. The first few days after a breakup are something I don't think anyone can truly prepare you for. Unless your relationship has been struggling for a very long time, an unexpected breakup puts you into shock. You're not just sad. You're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. You wake up expecting everything to be normal, and then reality hits all over again. You replay conversations, looking for clues you missed, and you wonder if there was something you could have done differently. If that's where you are today, I want you to hear this. You're not crazy. You're grieving. And grief is a normal response to losing someone you loved. One of the verses I've clung to over the last couple weeks is Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. I love that promise because it doesn't say God waits until we stop crying before he comes close. He meets us right in the middle of our pain. He isn't afraid of our tears or our questions or even our silence. He's simply present, and sometimes his presence is exactly what we need. I also want to say something to those whose relationships are still together but struggling. Please don't wait to have the hard conversations. Looking back, I've realized how important communication really is. We get so busy with work and family responsibilities and everyday life that sometimes we stop asking the questions that matter most. Ask your partner, how are you really doing? Ask, what do you need from me? Ask, what are your fears? And ask, how can I love you better? Don't assume you know the answers. Give each other permission to be honest, even when the conversations are uncomfortable. Healthy communication doesn't guarantee a relationship will survive, but avoiding difficult conversations almost never strengthens one. If your relationship can be healed, don't let pride or fear keep you from talking about what matters. One thing I've had to remind myself over and over is that I can't change another person's choices. I can only be responsible for my own. I can apologize where I need to apologize. I can learn from my mistakes. I can become a better woman because of this experience, but I can't carry responsibility for decisions that weren't mine to make. There's freedom in understanding that difference. When we stop carrying burdens that don't belong to us, we finally have room to let God carry them instead. I'm still learning what those boundaries look like. Maybe you are too. But that's okay. Healing isn't about getting everything right. It's about taking the next faithful step. I'm going to read that part last, but I think one of the biggest things that I've learned during this is how important it is not to isolate. I have a core group of people that have been there for me, and I will forever be grateful for the shoulders to cry on, for the heavy lifting to move rooms around, for the checking on me, just for being there. And that's important. If you know someone is struggling with a breakup, a death, just anything where they're grieving for some reason, sometimes they just need you to be there. Sit next to them while they cry, or sometimes just while they're sleeping, they can sleep comfortably knowing they have a person next to them. And for those of us who have had abandonment issues in our past, these new ones are hard. They're really hard. I have felt very abandoned, except, hang on, buddy. Except I always have this guy. There's my friend. And I actually wanted to mention that too. In grief, these little guys don't understand. Kids don't understand. And it doesn't mean that we have to be strong. I've cried on him, and he will lick my face, which is gross because his breath is atrocious. But you know what? He came to me after my ex-husband went crazy back in 2016, and I've been his constant for 10 years. Now, truth be told, he misses Colin too, and it's hard. Tori says hi, Des. It's hard because I don't know what to do for him. I don't know how to help him. I just know that I had to make a clean break for him because he doesn't understand why Daddy's not coming back. I mean, truth be told, I don't either, but I can at least rationalize things, you know, but he can't. And you want to be on there too? Here, baby. You can be on there. They'd probably rather look at you anyway because you're so cute. Oh, he's beautiful. Isn't he beautiful? But the thing is when we guard our hearts, we have to guard the hearts of those who can't take care of themselves. And that's my baby Des. So a clean break was really necessary to keep him safe. But, what? Do you need to talk too? What do you need to say? Are you camera shy? I think he's camera shy. Anyway, children, they don't understand either. They just know that person's not there, and they were. Children are resilient, animals are resilient, but it's still hard. So be mindful of that. They need a little extra attention. It's the camera. He looks 10 years younger. Anyway, this has been one of the hardest things I've gone through, aside from my dad's death. I mean, I've had breakups before, but this one's, we were planning a future. And now that's changed. I also want to say that I don't know what the future holds. God's the only one who does. I just know that it's one thing to say that we trust God. It's another thing to actually trust Him. And it's okay to be mad. It's okay to say, God, I don't understand. Because I don't. I still don't understand. But what I know and what I understand are different. What I know is the Word says He will never leave me or forsake me. So, even though someone else did, God didn't. And my friends are still here. I also know that God has plans to prosper me, not harm me, to give me hope and a future. Which means I may not know what that looks like, but God does. And when we surrender our life to Him, it's all of it. I don't know how I'm going to take care of things, but God does. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I think it was a dream, a really bad one, and I realize it's not. And this time of night is actually the hardest for me, so this is probably when I'll do these, because it gives me something to look forward to. We had a routine at night, and we don't have that anymore. And this is the first time I've lived alone my whole life. And it's hard. It's lonely. But it's time for me to shine. It's time for me to rise from the ashes and to realize that no matter how many tears I've cried, they will not put out the fire that's in me. Because if my story helps one person survive, thrive, get through however they can a horrible thing, then it makes it all worth it. Hi, Penny. So, Penny's known me since I was like 8 years old. We won't say how old I am now. Well, yeah, we can. I'm 54. That's another hard thing about this. I'm freaking 54 years old, and now I'm by myself. That's hard. But, you know what? I did a class tonight. I'm trying to better myself, you know. I could just let this breakup kill me and destroy me and make me a miserable person, make me go back on drugs, or I could follow God like I am and keep myself busy. And so I did this class, and there was a lady on there who's 70, and she was married for 40 years, and her husband walked out. That's gotta suck bad. I mean, mine sucks, but that's even worse. So I know that it could be worse. I could have nobody. I could have no friends. I could have no support. Well, I know Rich isn't leaving you. He's too good. He's too good of a man, Benny. Anyway, we can have a plan that we think is God's will, and we can be sure it's God's will. But then there's this thing called free will, and Colin exercised free will, and he chose to leave. So, does that mean it wasn't God's will for us to be together? I'm not going to answer that because I don't know. I know what my heart thought. My heart thought he was my forever. And secretly, he may be. I don't know. Maybe he just needs some time to grow, reflect, and figure out what an amazingly wonderful person I am, and he shouldn't have left. But I can take this as an opportunity to grow. And that's what I'm going to do. And along the road, I'm going to take people with me, and I'm going to help them grow, because helping people helps you. Focusing your pain on someone else and helping them grow and not be in so much pain helps you feel better. Whenever I help people, I always feel better. And I think that's how God intended it. So each week we'll talk about something important. There'll be talks about boundaries and forgiveness and self-care and all the things that before you have a breakup you don't think about. But hopefully I can prepare you guys to, and not just breakup. This could be a death. This could be, you lost a friendship. Friendships matter too. This isn't just about a romantic relationship. This is about, what if your friend decides they don't want to be your friend anymore? And you were best friends and you did everything together and you loved each other so much, and they became horrible and they are gone. You can still mourn the loss of that friendship, but just know that sometimes there's people in our lives for seasons. You've heard that. Reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. What I thought was a lifetime maybe it was just a season, or maybe it's still a lifetime, and we both just have to grow in a different place, different way. I'm just not putting God in a box. I'm not going to do God's job for him, and I'm not going to run and chase after somebody that wants something different, or maybe doesn't even know what he wants, I just know that Colin and I had really good years together, and I will always cherish those. You won't catch me talking bad about him on here. You will get me to say pray for him. Pray for both of us, because we both need wisdom. We're both hurting. He may be gone, but I know he's still struggling. Because who wouldn't struggle after leaving me? I mean, again, I'm amazing, right? No, I really am. You gotta have self-worth when you get broken up with. It's important. Anyway, tears are good. Tears are cleansing. They make people feel better. Except when you're an ugly crier, and I am an ugly crier sometimes. And when you have that snot that runs down your face, that's so gross. But follow me on this journey. And if nothing else, you get to see me. My hair is getting really long. I'm really happy about that. And hopefully I'll inspire you to be able to help somebody else. Because isn't that what it's about? We're not here for relationships or for new cars or new houses or anything like that. We're here to glorify God in all that we do. And if I can glorify God with a broken heart, you can do it too. So my last page is, here's my challenge this week. Ask yourself, what is one thing I can do to guard my heart? Maybe it's spending time with God before picking up your phone. Maybe it's taking a walk or calling a friend, or choosing not to revisit painful memories. Don't go scrolling through your photo albums and looking at all the past memories. I did that like on day 3. that was a terrible idea. And just be prepared. If it is somebody that's passed away or someone who left you and you have to pack up their stuff, you might need a little alone time for that, but you also might need some friends because that was heavy. Packing up 3.5 years of memories, good and bad, and clearing those out of my house, that sucked. But I think it also gave me a sense of closure that was necessary. It would be miserable walking through my house and seeing all his pictures everywhere, and it's not that I don't want to have the happy memories, but I don't want the bad ones right now. I'm not strong enough for that, so you might have to get rid of stuff. That's all I'm saying. But whatever it is, trust God with one step instead of worrying about the whole journey. Thank you for spending a little time with me today. This went longer than I expected, but oh well. You all know I'm long-winded. But my prayer is that no matter what you're walking through, you'll remember that God isn't finished with your story. He still brings beauty from ashes, hope from heartbreak, and purpose from pain. So as we walk through the Comeback Project together, I hope you'll join me each week as we take one more step toward healing. Until next time, keep your eyes on Jesus, guard your heart, and whatever you do, don't lose your sparkle. I love y'all. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week. Bye.